Good morning. You're listening to Senior Scene on your hometown station, 1430 WNAV. I'm Joshua Killian, social media producer with the Anne Arundel County Department of Aging and Disabilities. Today we have a very special guest join us to talk about an upcoming event in our community, Unmasking Senior Mental Health. I'd like to welcome our guest, Heather Hughes, who's an older adult behavioral health and past art specialist at the Anne Arundel Mental Health Agency. Thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having me here today, Josh.
So let's start by talking about Unmasking Senior Mental Health. Can you tell us a little bit about what the event is and what inspired it?
Certainly. So the art event Unmasking Senior Mental Health was actually inspired by actually what I currently do. And I've been working with older adults in our community for about 4.5 years now, Josh. And a lot of times these individual stories, they're not highlighted, right? And I wanted a way to celebrate older adults in our community that were living with behavioral health disorders. And I thought, what a better intersection than art, because that is somewhere that you can express yourself and be as creative as you want to be. So it's really inspired by wanting to highlight just the amazing older adults that we have in our community that are living with behavioral health conditions that are our friends, neighbors, and our community members.
Okay, well, that's very interesting. And I think it's so important to raise awareness about mental health and also well-being in older adults. Can you tell us more about how the art exhibit will, help our community to achieve this goal?
So one of the things of this art exhibit is we actually had over 160 participants from 13 different programs all across the state of Maryland. So when it comes to raising awareness, we really want to start the conversation. And it can just be as something as simple as saying, here's my story. Let me tell you about myself. So, what we hope is that when individuals are going through this exhibit and looking at the beautiful artwork that these individuals have created, that it will really start to jumpstart that conversation. We did also ask the participants in this who were doing the art exhibit to answer questions about mental health. So we asked about coping skills. We asked about what advice they would have for someone who is struggling with their own mental health and other various mental health related questions. So really when it comes to achieving that goal of raising awareness and well-being, it starts with a conversation. And that's what we're truly hoping to get out of this.
I think that's a very powerful set of themes and ideas and inspiration. And I'm sure the artwork will be very inspiring and thought-provoking for any visitors to the exhibit. Can you tell us more about the types of art that will be featured and how the artists were selected?
So when it comes to the art that is going to be featured, we used mask. So we had participants actually create two masks for us each. So we had over 160 participants, but they created over 300 masks for this event. So the first mask that individuals created was, how did they feel about their mental health prior to entering mental health treatment? Then the second mask that they created is, how do they feel now, now that they have entered mental health treatment or mental health recovery? So one story that I do just want to highlight, just because I think it's just such a powerful story, is one of our individuals said before mental health treatment, it, life was dark and gloomy for him. He kind of felt out of place. He actually described himself kind of as a monster, which is just heartbreaking to hear. And when he entered mental health recovery, he felt as he transformed, and he actually used the word metamorphosed, and his second mask was actually a butterfly, because he said, I grew, and it was just so poetic.
In addition to the art exhibit, will there be any other resources or programs available at the event to help older adults with mental health challenges?
There will be, Josh. So what we will have there is, we have a fabulous rapport and connection and co-sponsorship with the Department of Aging. So their staff will be present at this event with resources about Maryland Access Point, AIR's Adult Evaluation and Review Services, the Home and Community-Based Services Waiver, but we also will have resources for outpatient mental health clinics. So if any older adult needs connection, or maybe they need a new therapist, they can call many of the resources in Anne Arundel County. We also will have some books from the Mental Health Association about common mental health disorders in older adults. So there's going to be an opportunity to connect with providers in the community, but there will also be resource material for individuals to take. We also will have Anne Arundel County Mental Health Agency represented. My hope is that we can actually have someone from our mobile crisis team there, because we do understand someone may feel, really inclined to share their story, and they may need assistance. So we want to make sure that we are supporting individuals.
We often hear about the importance of mental health awareness and self-care, but it can be difficult to know where to start. Do you have any tips or resources for older adults who may be looking to prioritize their mental health and well-being?
So I think, as I previously stated, it starts with the conversation. You're not alone. There's many individuals all across the world, here in the United States and other countries, that struggle with anxiety, depression, and more serious mental health disorders like bipolar and schizophrenia. So if an older adult is looking to prioritize their mental health and well-being, it's find somewhere that you feel comfortable talking, and then being connected to resources. So if that's a family friend, if that is a local religious community, or even calling the Anne Arundel County Warm Line, 365 days, 24/7, we're always there. So you're not alone, and never, ever, ever feel like you're alone. There are so many people in our community who are living with some form of mental illness. And if an older adult, or just anyone in particular, is trying to prioritize their well-being, I think as the summer is upon us, getting outside, getting that sunshine, that fresh air, that definitely helps. But also feeling connected to a community is also a great way to prioritize mental health and well-being. And if you notice that you yourself or someone is struggling, then again, start that conversation, and it can be just as simple as, how are you doing today?
And lastly, what's the one thing you'd like our listeners to take away from our talk today?
So I think the biggest thing that I would love our listeners to take away from this event is, please come out to support this event. This event is actually going to be on May 11th from 4:30 to 6 p.m. at the Annapolis Senior Activity Center. So please share it with your community members, your professional contacts. We would love a great turnout, just to show these individuals just how appreciated they are in our community. But also, the other message that I want our listeners to take away from this is, mental health is extremely important. And there are so many people that are affected by mental health, as I stated before. And they could be, your friend, family, doctors, teachers. I mean, there's always someone who is affected with, and living with a mental health disorder. So you're truly not alone. And let's start breaking down the stigma of mental health.
Well, that's great to hear, and I think this event will be a wonderful way to bring our community together while raising awareness about the importance of mental health and well-being in older adults. Thank you so very much for joining us today and sharing your insights with us.
Absolutely, Josh. Grateful to be here, and thanks for having me.
If you have any questions about today's show, or if you're interested in any of our programs, please feel free to contact the Department of Aging and Disabilities at 410-222-4257, or visit us online. We also encourage everyone to register for our Senior Activity Center programming, which can be found on our website, aacounty.org/senior-center. Please remember to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at AACODOAD, and in our YouTube channel at Arundel Seniors. You can catch Senior Scene first only on 1430 WNAV, but tune into full episodes on our YouTube channel at Arundel Seniors on Thursdays at 10 a.m. This has been Joshua Killian, social media producer with the Anne Arundel County Department of Aging and Disabilities, and you're listening to Senior Scene on your hometown station, 1430 WNAV.